Hey folks, Connie Chesner here and Travis Cook with Armored Team Building. We get a lot of questions from folks about what does it look like, feel like, how do we integrate all this stuff into our sessions. So we wanted to record this video to give you a little bit of a sneak peek through a mini lesson. So get ready to experience just a little bit of a taste of our system and understand more about what we do. So what we're going to cover today is part of what our bonus material is for when we work with ongoing clients. And this is something that allows us to tie back to the deeper content that we cover in our Taste of Sessions. So we want to focus for right now on one concept, that idea of trust flags. Now when we think of flags, we think of something that brings attention to something. Like in sports, a flag tells us that something is wrong. In business, we might have post-it flags or other things that we flag material to bring attention in a long report. So flags serve a purpose to bring attention, and then we have trust. Every relationship that we have builds trust between individuals, and we have what's almost a trust barometer that tells us where we are. We need to have a high level of trust in order to have ongoing smooth relationships. So those two marry together into trust flags for our concept today. So in the workplace, trust allows us to drive teams and projects forward in very productive manners. Now the flip side of trust is things like passive-aggressive behavior, rumors, information protecting, control moves, those types of things. But some of that can be really hard to grasp at first. So let's look at something a little more tangible. There are several kinds of trust that we use in the teaching of self-defense. For today's mini lesson, we're going to focus on one flag alone. That flag is going to be identifying something that tells us something is wrong. So looking for that kind of a flag. Now, in our sessions, we actually talk a lot about how do we respond to the flags that we notice. So in self-defense, that involves things like striking, responses, techniques. We also talk about what to do in business when we see some of the flags that we can notice in business. We're going to get to a demonstration of that in just a minute. But for now, we have to figure out how do we know what a flag is and what do we do? And that requires what we call situational awareness. Now in self-defense, if you're near a parking garage, let's say, and someone's hanging around the entrance to the parking garage, that doesn't really fit, right? There's really no reason for him to be there. Maybe you're in a store shopping, somebody is following you pretty closely. Those are what we call trust flags. They tell you something's not safe in the environment. Now when you encounter a flag like that, there are two things that need to happen. You need to give that flag attention, and you need to respond to that flag. So we're going to show you an example of some self-defenses right now. They're going to put that in action, and then we'll jump back and make some more meaning.
So one of the techniques we utilize in self-defense is a long-range technique to the rear. We call it a back kick. So this is going to help somebody to create distance to get away. So maybe you have somebody like Kaylee in front of me here. The perpetrator's coming up behind her. She notices the shadow on the ground, looks over the shoulder, sees me coming, back kicks into my stomach to create some distance so that she can effectively get away to safety. So in another self-defense situation, maybe you didn't see the attacker coming up from behind you or in front of you fast enough, and now all of a sudden they're upon you and you've got to act. So from this point, what we're going to utilize is a control position into an elbow strike, grab down, couple of strikes, and separation. So as soon as they grab control, you hit, pull them in, couple of strikes, push off, you escape to safety.
Good job.
So just like in self-defense, awareness flags, if we miss them in business, will become bigger and more dominant and need attention even more. So just like it's better to react and create space in self-defense earlier, the more immediately that we handle the flags that we see in business relationships, the less damage that trust barometer we talked about is likely to sustain. So for just a tiny example, let's say you have an upcoming project and you send an email out to 4 coworkers. You ask them for some times, some ideas, things like that. Sharing, a group teamwork mentality. 3 of those coworkers reply all, share the information, give you some dates and times. That 4th coworker though, they either reply only to you, or they text you, or they come by your office and just talk to you. That's sort of an exclusionary trust flag. Something's broken down there. They're not playing by the rules of the rest of the team. And it's something that's very subtle, but it speaks to a mindset that erodes trust. That's like the long-range defense we just covered at this point. So if you don't address flags at this point, what happens is bigger trust flags are going to emerge, even retaliating trust flags from the other members of the group. So things like showing up late for meetings, accidentally leaving out information from a report that someone contributed, other moves that are very passive-aggressive and subtle, yet continually erode away that trust. But just like in self-defense, if we address those first flags that we see, that exclusionary email, we can actually take care of this early on and have things be more of a team-oriented environment. So that gives you just a little bit of a sneak peek into how we work and what we do. We do have a lot more content that we cover, but just wanted to give you a slice today. Of course, we want to get to know you better, so we'd love to sit down over coffee, have a conversation, talk about this even more. Until then, please keep an eye out for those trust flags. Remember to react early. Remember to trust your awareness. And we thank you for watching today, and we look forward to getting to know you better.